All right. Hello, my name is Tom Graham, and welcome to Being Heard. I am committed to every voice being heard, including my own. Today, we've got Daniel Levin, and welcome, Danny.
Hey, Tom, how you doing? I've been looking forward to this since we spoke a few days ago. Um, and besides the fact that you and I look like we could be brothers,
Yeah,
I feel like we are brothers, even though we've only met just recently.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I know you also,
Yes,
and I'm
beautiful.
grateful to have you here and be in your presence.
Thank you. Mirror back to you, my friend.
Thank you. Um, you want to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about you or what you're up to or any message you want to share or you know set up the context so they understand. So let me take a step back first. Thank you for coming on, and we're going to talk through the 7P's. I've got a question for each P, which is passion, perseverance, perspective, priorities, purpose, patience, and prayer. You don't have to memorize them because they'll come out in a question,
Perfect.
and it'll be like question answer. And I might go a little deeper, but I've got a script of questions that I'm asking the same questions to different individuals, and just because it's about being heard, and I want to hear where people are at or what does it mean for them.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that mission that you're on. It's beautiful work.
Thank you. So about you, I know you don't like to, it's not about you. I got that. It's not about you. And if you don't mind, just frame it up so people have a context of who they're hearing right now.
Thank you. Um, I always get the easiest question for most people to answer is one of the hardest questions for me to answer because I've lived 1,000 different lifetimes this lifetime, and all of them together make up the lifetime of who I am. And that's why um, the image of a mosaic is so exquisite for me, because there are all these little pieces of life that I've lived in all these different places. I walked away from um, $1 billion company to find happiness and inner peace, and I hitchhiked around the world. I studied psychology in school and dropped out because it didn't give me the answers to the questions I had. Um, if I look back on perhaps the most significant moment in my life was my father's passing away when I was 13 years old.
Mm,
He was my hero, and suddenly he was gone.
yeah.
And the connection between my mother and my father was so strong that my mother died 2 years later on exactly the same day at exactly the same time,
Oh, wow.
because that's how connected they were. That's how much in love they were. That's how much they um, wanted to be with each other.
Yeah,
And it left me as a kid.
I get it. I mean,
Uh,
it's a beautiful thing. And you were 15.
I was 15 years old. And so, but as this beautiful world would have it, my mom and dad passing opened up a door for me that was would have never ever come to me before. My mom's sister married a man who became a household name, and they didn't have any sons. And in those days, 50 some years ago, a man didn't give his business over to his daughters, even though his daughters were more qualified. At least two of the three of them were
Yep.
more qualified than me in every way, shape, and manner. It just wasn't done that way. And thank God that ceiling has broken. And we still can pierce it a little bit further, but thank God it's broken. And he offered me the opportunity, after watching me for a month and a half, to start from the bottom pushing a broom, and in 15 years sit in his seat. And he promised me, I will mentor you every time you fall. I will pick you up. I will find you. I will. There's no way you will not be in this seat unless I've completely read you wrong. I was a kid, 15 years old. Most kids, 15 years old, what do you think they would have said?
I'm not even sure.
Okay. Most of the people I talked to said, you took it, right? Because most people, given the opportunity to run $1 billion company, would run head for, like, what could be a greater opportunity than being handed the opportunity to do that with a mentor who said, there's no way you're going to fail. And perhaps in another time in my life, it would have been the right moment. But I was looking for the unconditional love I had with my parents.
Mm,
I wasn't looking for a lot of money.
right.
I had just lost the two people that loved me beyond measure. And I was now thrust into a world where I didn't see that love. I didn't see people getting that love. The family I lived with believed that people only loved them because they had money. So
Oh,
that life didn't have a lot of allure to me. And I ended up walking away. Um, and through the course of my life of walking away, I walked away from a lot of things. One day before I was ordained a rabbi, 2 years, uh, I took all of my courses for an undergraduate psychology degree and never graduated. I was a monk for 10 years in a monastery and walked away. Um, and I used to think that maybe I had a fear of commitment. But as I've lived my life now for a little while, what I realized is the moment something became not mine, somehow I found the courage to leave it.
okay.
And I now help people who feel like they're stuck in the world of not them to have
Mm,
the courage to find the world that is them. Not by doing anything, not by teaching anything, but by holding the space for them to take that step and be loved and accepted and listened to and heard and acknowledged and validated. So, all that being said, what I'd like to ask anybody who's listening to do is forget about all that, because none of it matters. Because right now, in this moment, we have an opportunity. And if in this moment, our time together, Tom and I's time together, and what you hear touches you, it doesn't matter if I was living under a bridge, it touches you. If it doesn't touch you, I could tell you the rest of my resume and make you marvel. But what good is it? Because in this moment, we haven't made a connection. So I'd like you to just forget about who I am or who you might believe I am. And let's just sit here and be together horizontally, just loving on each other and feeling each other and seeing what is possible in this moment. In this moment, can we love each other and hold the space for each other to do what the next moment is asking us to do? That's really all that's important.
awesome. So with that, we'll start the questions.
Sounds like a very appropriate place to enter in.
So the first P is passion.
Wow.
And my question is, how do you take actions to increase your passion?
So maybe it's because of the life that I've lived.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because I'm a peculiar guy. But the way I tend to see life is different than the way many other people see life. At
Mm-hmm.
first, I got very arrogantly proud about that, thinking, oh, wow, I see things other people don't see. Until I realized the whole world sees something I don't see, and I need to learn how to see what they see. And that it was an opportunity for me to listen and to hear and to engage and to love and to see a world that I didn't see. All of that is an introduction to the answer that I want to give. I don't believe that I'm all that important in the whole process. In fact, I don't believe there's anything I have to do to increase the ability to feel passion in my life. If there's anything I have to do, which is trying to answer your question in a way that I won't seem like a complete weirdo.
I apologize for laughing, but you made me
No,
laugh.
no, good. Never apologize for laughing. If there was anything that I could do to increase my passion, it would be to stop thinking that I'm the one that increases or decreases my passion, to just get out of my own way, because passion exists so abundantly in the world. I remember when I met my wife, I met her through a Tony Robbins group that we were both a part of. We were studying to be coaches. She was in Texas and I was in California.
Mm-hmm.
And we met on a Facebook page that Tony Robbins has. And her question was, I've lost my passion. Can anybody help me find it? And I wrote her back, how is it possible to live life without passion? And she said, would you mind having a call with me? I said, it'd be my pleasure. We had about an hour and a half conversation. And she told me sometime later that after that conversation, she felt as if electricity had been turned on in her body. Her whole body was tingling and alive, as if she had just taken drugs or taken alcohol, and she hadn't taken drugs or alcohol. But she became infused with this energy and passion. And I don't think it was because of me. I just think that when we get out of the way, there is nothing but passion there. Probably good to keep my answers as long, short as I possibly can.
So I'm gonna say it differently. So make sure I got it.
Okay.
So what I heard you say is the passion is within. The action that you take to increase your passion is to actually not diminish it. And that's a double negative, and I apologize for that.
No, it's
I was
okay.
just putting it.
So what I want to do is I want to decrease the importance of myself in the process.
Okay.
I don't think there's an action that I can take or not take that will increase or decrease passion. If there was anything, if I was trying to answer your question with a thought that I could do something or other, it would just be get out of the way.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we only have 6 more to go.
There we go. And feel free to interrupt me any point in time, because I'm a storyteller, so I tell too many stories.
Oh, it's perfect. I'm grateful to have you here with me.
Me too. Thank you.
Perseverance. What is worth so much that you would push through anything to have?
That's really simple. For me, the only thing that's worth that much that I would push through anything to have it is knowing myself. One of my biggest sadnesses in the world that I see around me is that the people that I see don't know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
and I see that it causes so much pain. Do I have time to say a story?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a schedule.
Okay. We've talked about it, but I'm a storyteller, so my stories are, I've already answered the question. We could end right there if we wanted to, and it would be easy. Or a story illustrates the point, though, I think better than I can. When I was living with my aunt and uncle, I went from a lower middle class family to a highly elite upper class family. The friends that I had were the Skians that are leading the world today.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend and I would sit around the fountain and play music together and talk about how we would change the world when he inherited billions from his dad and I inherited billions from my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the good that we would do from that place of having all that money and the beautiful world that we would help create together, and that we leaned on each other to give each other strength to do that. When I decided not to do that, and I told him I'm leaving, I'm not going to be doing that. He said, I hate you. Why would you do something so stupid? You're an idiot. Why would you leave this possibility that we have created together to go off and hitchhike and find happiness and inner peace? What are you, friggin' crazy? I'm sorry for any moments that I spent with you because I feel like they were a waste of time. For you to make such a stupid decision. He said, I want nothing to do with you. Don't ever call me. Don't ever talk to me. Don't ever do anything. He was my best friend. And it hurt a lot.
You were 19 at the time?
I was 17,
17. Okay.
16 and a half.
Okay.
And I said, I'll honor your wishes, but it hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see him for another 30 years.
Mm.
And I happened to be staying at a hotel called the Mandarin Oriental in New York. Beautiful hotel. And they have an elevator from the ground level to the lobby on the 34th floor.
Okay.
And then you take another elevator from the 34th floor to your room. So anybody from the street has to come into the lobby, and they have surveillance and all that stuff there. I was coming home one night around 10:30. My night was over, and I was coming up that ground floor got off at the lobby. And as I'm getting out, I'm seeing people come into the elevator as well. And I look over and I said, oh my God, that's Neil. And he's walking a little bit intoxicated, not too much, but a little bit, you could tell he's not feeling any pain, with 3 women on his arm. And I said to him, Neil. And he said, who said my name? And I said, I did. He said, how do you know my name? I said, you forgot. At 15, we were going to change the world together. We were best friends. He said, Danny, I can't believe it. I can't believe you're here. I can't believe this is you. Come with me. I've got all the drugs we need. I've got all the women we need. I've got all the money we need. We're going to go dancing. We're going to go partying. We're going to go to the clubs. We're going to do this. Come with me. Join us. Choose any one of these girls that you can have them. I said, Neil, that's not my life. Why don't we just have lunch together tomorrow? And you have to understand, all this is happening in the time it takes for the elevator door to open and the elevator door to close, and someone pressing hold because they see we're having a conversation. And he puts his hand in his pocket. He gives the girls $1,000. He said, girls, go have a good time. I'm going to stay here with my old friend, Danny. We sat in the lobby of the Mandarin Oriental, and he said, I have a beautiful bottle of scotch and 2 cigars. Would you do that with me? And I said, I normally don't drink or smoke too much, but this seems like this isn't a normal moment. So let's sit and have some scotch and cigars, and let's get caught up. We stayed there until 4:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
catching up on 30 years. As it was time to go to sleep, he looked at me and he said, Danny, I hated you. You know that. I said, yes, I do. It hurt the hell out of me. He said, I thought you were the dumbest, most stupid person in the whole world to go off and give all that you had away to find happiness and inner peace. He said, but I'm sitting across the table from you now. I have more money than God. I'm on my fourth wife. My children don't talk to me. I haven't known a day of happiness in the last 15 years. And I sit here and I see you have virtually nothing. But you have everything I want. And I have nothing you want. How is that possible? I want what you have. I said, Neil, that's so easy. Like, let's get together when you get home and I'll come out and I'll see you and we'll sit together. And finding this is the easiest thing in the whole world. It's not going to be hard. You can do this. He said, I will pay you to come and see me. I said, you don't need to pay me. You're my friend. I'm not looking to get a job out of it. I'm looking to tell you you're my buddy. You might have left me at 15. I never left you. I'm happy to do it for you. He said, I will call you in the minute I get back home. It's been 20 years. Maybe he hasn't gotten home yet.
Mm-hmm.
I never got a call from him. My greatest pain is that people are scared to get to know themselves. My greatest pain is they've got caught up so much in the activities of the world around them, which are not bringing them happiness, which are not bringing them peace. There's moments of happiness. Sure, nothing you can say. I can say I have black glasses, white hair, but I don't live in a black and white world.
Right.
Surely there's people that have peace. But for those who don't, and if you're listening now, no, it's not too late. You can have the peace and happiness you want. You just have to change something you're doing if what you're doing isn't giving it to you. Be persistent on the one thing you really want. It will not be able to avoid you.
Awesome. I appreciate the story.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Stories are a good way to communicate.
The next word is perspective.
Oh boy. Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh, more than ready.
Okay. With shifting your perspective, increase your level of joy in the moment.
It depends where you shift your perspective to.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I was at Hay House, Wayne Dyer and I were sitting at a lunch table. And he was a buddy of mine. I brought him to Hay House and he actually became more friendly with Reed, who runs Hay House. And Reed and I were sort of a dual face that took the company from $3 million to $100 million a year together, along with everybody else that worked there. But we were and Reed became almost like his son.
Mm.
But Wayne and I were super close. And I remember the first time, maybe it was the first time, I don't know if it was or not, I can't say that for sure. But I remember him sitting across the table from me and saying, Danny, I just realized this. When you change the way you see the world you see actually changes. And I went, wow. I mean, that's so unbelievable, because I think I believed up until that point that the world was the world. And the way I saw the world was just the way I saw the world. But in changing my perspective, everything changes. I wrote a book called The Mosaic. I think The Mosaic in my mind was about connection.
Mm.
It was about the power of what happens when we come together, when we find that place of similarity rather than the place of division. But as I wrote it, better stated, as it wrote itself through me, one of the powerful stories was that nothing is the way it seems. And it was illustrated time and time again, because the story is about me losing my parents. It's not my story, but it's my story fableized, but I don't say that.
Right.
The story about a boy who loses his parents 2 years apart on the same day, and he asks the adults where his parents are, and they tell him they're in a place called heaven. And so he sets out in search of the place called heaven, because that's the only thing that's important to him. But the people he meets along the way aren't the clergy and the rabbis and the shamans and the priests and the excuse me. They're the common ordinary people. They're a trash man and a road worker, a blind woman and a homeless guy, a waitress and a gardener, a juice
Mm-hmm.
man and a street artist. And he wonders, why in the heck am I meeting these people? What are they going to show me about this heaven that I want to find, or around the purpose of life? And he hears a voice say to him, just sit with them and tell them and listen to them tell you their stories. And so he does. And as he listens to the stories they tell him, right in front of his eyes, they become different people. But it's not because they changed. It's because his perspective on them have changed. And one of the things that I think would be remarkable in today's time, this moment in time, is if we would actually take the time to listen to the person that we're fighting with. If we would take time to listen to those people who disagree with us. If we would take time to listen to the people that we think are stupid or dumb or doing the wrong thing, and we would just listen to them, I wonder if we might hear somebody different than we thought we were hearing. And I wonder if that wouldn't bring us together. I wonder if most of the difficulties, most of the wars, most of the tragedies, most of the disagreements, most of the things that are going on are simply because we just don't listen to one another. Listen and hear what you're doing. How beautiful.
Yeah. Is there any more on that, or you?
I was just going to say perspective changes everything.
Yeah. Perspective changes everything. That's a great. That's great. The next word is priorities. Are your priorities setting you up for success in creating more joy?
I wish I could say across the board they were.
Okay.
In some places they are. In places that I deem the most important, they were. But in some places that I found to be the most important, they're not. Again, if I can take a moment and tell you a story.
Yeah. And first, I reiterate, there are no right and wrong answers.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, for my sake, like when I hear myself say that my priorities are not aligned to my success, that would never be the life that I would choose to live, except that's the life that I'm living.
I got it.
And so it's a beautiful question, beautiful moment for me to realize it and, to be with it.
And I'm happy to hear the story.
Thank you. Someone once said to me that a man had bought a house and he painted his house. And in the very last room, he ran out of paint. And all that remained was a little corner from the top of the wall, where the two walls intersected, a little triangle where the top of the walls met the ceiling. And he didn't have enough paint to finish it up that triangle. And he lived with it for a long time. And he always thought, I'm going to one day finish that because it's unfinished. And the day he decided to finish it, he heard in the afternoon that his house had been sold and that a wrecking company was coming and was going to knock the house down. And so the question was, do I finish painting that wall, even though the house is going to be knocked down tomorrow? My answer to that would be why. It's going to be knocked down. My wife's answer to that is absolutely, I would finish painting it because I would want it to be done. And I say, well, why? It's going to be knocked down. Who cares? I never understood why she said what she said. I mean, I got it intellectually, but it didn't make sense in my gut. About 5 years later, I became friends with some Buddhist monks. And they had come to our town. And they had set up shop. And they were creating a mandala made of sand.
Mm-hmm.
And they shaved the pieces. And I would go to visit them and watch them do it. And it was over the course of about 5 or 6 months that they had, with utmost care, created this exquisite mandala. Absolutely beautiful. And when the mandala was finished, they invited me to come and see it. And I went with joy. I couldn't wait to see what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
They also invited their teacher to come.
Mm.
And once it was seen, their teacher came with a brush and walked up to it and just went and took 6 months of work and destroyed it in a moment. And I went to him and I said, as he was doing it, I went, no. I mean, verbally, no. And one of my buddies there took me aside and I said, why would he do that? You spent 6 months, like 10, 15, 20 hours a day working on this. Why would he in one moment destroy everything you've done in 6 months? And they said, Danny, that's our teaching. Nothing is permanent in this world. And if we don't do it for the joy of the moment that it gives us, why should we do it at all? And I went, oh my God. Now I understand why my wife would paint that wall. What it meant to me was that's the way I chose to live around my body. I thought I've taken care of my body for a long time, but now the house is old and it's going to get taken from me soon. Why do I need to take care of it? It doesn't matter when I'm cremated, if I'm a big overweight body or a little thin body. It doesn't matter for my days if I live in pain or don't live in pain. I mean, really, what's it matter? The time is almost over. And then I thought about those monks. And I thought about that wall. And those are the priorities that I'm trying to change now, from habit patterns of priorities where I said, I'm not taking this with me. What good is it? Focus on the things that I'm taking with me. This doesn't matter. Like, just let it go. But I think I'd like to die with the house painted fully. So thank you for reminding me of my priorities.
You're welcome. Thank you for looking.
Yes.
The next one is purpose.
Wow.
You ready?
Always.
Okay. Is your ladder up against the right wall?
Is my ladder up against the right wall? Is that the question?
Yep.
Wow. So when I think about a ladder and a wall, I must have a mobile ladder
Mm-hmm.
because I think my ladder has moved many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
And if I return back to our original question
Mm-hmm.
of what could I do to increase my passion, I think my answer to my purpose wouldn't be very much different. I used to think that I had to find my purpose. And I see so many people searching to know what their purpose is. In this moment, at least, I don't know that this won't change in another moment, but in this moment, at least, I don't believe that anymore. I believe purpose finds me. And there's not much I can do to keep it away. I can have my ladder against the wrong wall. And if I'm supposed to be, if my purpose is somewhere else, somehow that ladder will shift with the wind, or someone will bump into it or knock it over, or somehow it will reposition itself because I just think like the bigger thing finds the smaller thing. It's not the smaller thing finding the bigger thing. And the bigger thing is purpose. This world has a purpose to it as well. And for whatever moment in time, I believe every single one of us has come to do something here that is unique, because otherwise there'd be no reason for us to be created. The one who is greater than I doesn't need carbon copies of people doing the same thing. And so when people say, do this because I did it and it will make you rich, and it'll make you, and it might make you rich, but it might not make you happy. I believe everybody has a reason for why they're here. And when we take the time to allow purpose to speak to us, and when we allow ourselves to listen to what it wants to tell us, it finds us easily. So it might be that it isn't even a ladder that's supposed to be against the wall. It might be a trampoline that's supposed to get over the wall. I don't know.
Yeah. And thank you. I have a follow-on question, and it might not make sense, and I'll
Okay.
ask it anyway.
It's okay.
And what are you building with that?
What am I building with?
The ladder being in up against the right wall. And
What am I?
so let me just
Don't go for it.
What I heard you say was that purpose is coming to you because it's the bigger to the littler.
Yes.
And I acknowledge your humility. And maybe it doesn't, maybe it's not a relevant question. And yet I'm asking anyway. So what are you building with your purpose
Um,
as you know it now?
yeah. So let me answer it in a sort of obtuse way because it'll fit in with the rest of my conversation.
Perfect.
I think what purpose has tried to build in me is to not be attached to the moment of what I'm doing, but to be open to what I'm being asked to do, whether that's by a divine presence or that's by my brother on the street who's starving.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be a holy moment. It's just how receptive am I to the purposefulness of this moment? And I think I'm building the courage to forget about what I believe and just sit in the vulnerable place of this moment and allow the moment, the purpose of this moment to come through to me. And it doesn't mean I have to change the world. Sometimes I just have to bring my plate to the sink. Sometimes I just have to sweep the leaves in front of my house. Sometimes I have to cry on the shoulder of another human being. Sometimes I have to hold and hug and love someone who doesn't feel loved. The theme that I feel myself repeating in the answers that I'm speaking is that there's one greater than I
Mhm.
that has me in the palm of his hand. And sometimes I get exalted when he raises his hand up and I go, wow, look how high I am. And sometimes he trips because his laces of his shoes are untied and he bends down to tie his shoes. And I go, oh no, what are we doing down here? This sucks down here. But I haven't left where I am. I'm still in the palm of his hand. And exalted is not exalted and low is not low because I'm sitting in my beloved's hand. And so I'm trying to, I think what I'm building is the resilience to know that in the palm of his hand, there can be nothing but beauty versus my natural desire to say, I should be up here. What happened? I fell. Who cares?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And I asked that anyway, knowing, not knowing. I what I heard in the first part of your question is that it was not a relevant question.
Yeah,
And I was compelled to ask it anyway. So
I appreciate that.
yeah.
Everything is relevant. Perspective, right?
Yeah. And it's about you being heard, not my judgment of whether it's a relevant thing or not.
Yeah, but even in the practice of what we just practiced, when I allow myself to get out of the way,
Yep.
say, what do you mean? I just told you I might not even be on a ladder. What do you mean? What am I building on the ladder that's going over the wall? You know, that it allows another voice to come through,
Mm.
allows a non-secular, non-rational, just no, it has to be this way. It all has to make sense like this. What if it didn't make sense? Part of the thing that I do with people often is when I hear them espouse a philosophy.
Mm.
I'll say to them, what if that isn't true? Like, what would happen if it just wasn't true? Like, it probably is true, but are you 100% sure that's true? They go, no. I mean, no, nothing's 100%. There's maybe, but nine. I say, okay, well, imagine that, like 0.0001% chance that it's not true. Find that place in the wall where you can squeeze through. What would be on the other side of that wall? What would you see if you could see what you can't see now? Do you have the courage to look there? Or are you going to say, I'm not 100% sure, I'm 99.999% sure, and that's good enough for me? That's fine too. If that's good enough, I mean, that's pretty certain. But how exciting would it be to see that 0.00001%? For me, that allows for vulnerability to be a part of my life. But again, who says that's important? Just, that's just what's become important to me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And the next word is patience. Are there areas where you don't have patience?
Oh my God, I suck at patience.
And then the follow on is look for a pattern.
Yeah. So all my life, up until about 6 months ago, I've been an incredible starter. Like, I'll see things and I'll just go, let's go. And I'll motivate, I'll go, I'll do it, I'll do these things. And then I've also been, quote unquote, gifted that I could see the end.
Mm.
So I lived my life with this huge frustration of, why does it take so long? Like, we got it going. Why is it taking so long to get here? I mean, I already see it. It's already here. Like, it's right there in front of us. Can't we get it? Like, let's do this. We're here. Like, why in the hell is it taking us so long to get to this place? And why can't you come with me there? And why can't you see it? See that? In rereading my book, The Mosaic, there's a character called the Traveler. The Traveler showed me there are three things that occupy every single thing that happens. And when I ask people, let's try it. What do you think the three things are that exist in every single thing in this world?
Is this a quiz or?
No, I'm asking it what you would say those three things are, Tom.
Oh. Three things that what?
There's three things that exist in every single thing in this world.
I don't think this is mine. And I heard it just earlier. And it was like birth and death and like a beginning and an end. And then I'm going with love.
Okay. Beautiful. You are so close. I mean, and those are beautiful answers. Those could be true too. But what the Traveler showed me, which blew my mind, because nobody says what you said. Most people say, well, there's, glory and beautiful, and there's God, and there's, all. The Traveler showed me there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything that happens in the world. Everything. If it has a beginning and it has an end, it also has a middle.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mean value theorem in math.
What's that?
That's the mean value theorem in math.
Yeah, I don't see, I'm not smart enough to know that.
That's funny, but it's not about me. It's okay. So a beginning, a middle, and an end. Beautiful.
So for me, I was fabulous at the beginning. I was fabulous at seeing the end. And I sucked at the middle. And we're talking about patience, right?
Mm,
Most of life is lived in the middle. You
hmm.
fall in love in the middle. You scrape a knee in the middle. You get your heart broken in the middle. You meet people and have relationships with them. You have friendships. You have people that hurt you. You have businesses that you do. You have all that stuff happens in the middle. And I was racing by it, not living any of it because I saw the end.
Hmm.
And the traveler said, "Slow down, buddy. You're missing out on all of life. Yeah, you're great at the beginning and you're great at the end. You suck at the middle. What are you scared of finding in the middle? Why do you have to race? What are you scared will happen if you take time to be with the middle? Take time to sit with people. Take time to love on people. Take time, the time it takes for a project to actually manifest. What would happen if you allow all the iterations of a workplace to happen?
Hmm.
The fights, the joy, the answers, the questions. I hate when people say I'm getting better at it now because who cares? You know, but I'm getting better at being a little more patient. And the only reason that I think I'm having any patience at all is because I've been able to change my perspective a little bit and change the purpose of what I do in my life. My purpose was to get to the end. I remember being in the seminary, and the Rebbe taught me how to walk into a perfect room and see 30 things that were wrong with it. Everybody else would walk in and say, "There's not anything wrong." He would say, "Danny, you have 25 seconds to find 30 things wrong with this room." And I remember finding 32. And he said, "Wow, I didn't even see those two." And companies would hire me because I had the ability to find out very quickly what was going wrong with the company and I could fix it. And they paid me a lot of money to do that in those days. Now I look back and I laugh at myself because there was nothing that needed fixing. Those companies there were beautiful things going on. The only thing that needed fixing was the thought that they needed things to be fixed. And if they could have just run in the glory of the steps that they were taking, those companies were glorious. They were doing so many things right. And it's taken me now years. That I was in the seminary when I was 22 years old for 10 years, for 5 years, I'm sorry. So around 22 to 27. And it's taken me almost 40 years more than that to learn how to not walk into a situation and find what's wrong with somebody. What a curse that was. I thought it was a blessing, but what a curse. To look at someone and see, I can see 10 things wrong with you right like that. But I'll fix you, don't worry. What a pompous bunch of BS. Nobody needs to be fixed. So, patience, yeah, probably not still on it's probably not in my top 10 qualities. Maybe it's in the thousands, or something, but yeah, it's down from a million.
So
But I don't think anybody would list me as a patient man.
awesome, and that's okay.
That's okay.
So the next one, the last question, we're down to 7.
Wow.
Seventh one, and it's prayer,
Wow.
and I say it's a little slanted in that I put a slant on it. And so, do you use prayer to recognize what you're proud of, what you're grateful for, what you desire, and what you love about yourself?
Hmm. Maybe. Let me try and sort of orchestrate the answer to this, because I think my definition of prayer is different. So
Perfect.
let me try and at least lay out and walk with you through the question in a step-by-step way.
Yeah, that's
Um, I spent a lot of years in a Western style of prayer
mm-hmm.
where I stood with a book. I mean, 5 years in a seminary, that's all we did. We 3 times a day we stood before God and told him how magnanimous he was, how omnipresent, omniscient, omnipresent, how kind, how every omni that you can think of, we told him he was. We told him how much he was glorious, how he would knock down our enemies. We spoke to him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then I entered a monastery. There were no books. There was only me and my cushion. And I started to continue to pray like I had known, like, God, can you help me do this? Can you do this for me? I love you. Will you help? Can we pray for world peace? Can we, bring peace where there's conflict? Can we? And I have an interesting relationship with my beloved, sort of like my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so at a certain point, he says, enough piousness, Danny. Let's just get down to what has to happen here. Why the hell are you talking so much?
Mm-hmm.
You think prayer is talking to me? You think I need that? I need somebody who will listen to me.
Mm.
Everybody's talking to me. Everybody's praying to me, asking me for what they want. Nobody gives a damn about what I want. Do you care about what I want? I said, of course I do. You're my buddy. You're my, I would like, just like I would for any of my friends. So then he said, shut the hell up for a little bit. Let me give you a chance to hear what I would like you to do. Let me hold you and just love you
Mm-hmm.
without you telling me how much I love you. Take a moment and just feel me. Find me in the silence and sit with me there. Let that silence be our prayer together. You don't have to pray to me for what you want. It's already being given to you. All you have to do is receive it. So my definition of prayer has changed. So ask me one more time the question. Do I use my definition of prayer to have self-love, to have...
For what I'll read the words, and the
Yes.
words are kind of clunky.
No, that's good.
Do you use the proud, grateful, desire, love about yourself prayer? And so, in effect, is in your form of prayer, is there what you're proud of?
Yes. Because so now proud is a hard word, because pride is not something I You know,
Right?
right,
I
right,
mean, that's one of the seven deadly sins.
right. So, but if I were really like not spiritually, limited by what I have to say to be a spiritual man, I am so proud of myself for who I've become.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I'm proud of myself because I'm not the part of myself that was getting in my way. I'm surrendering. Do I have a long way to go? Yeah, absolutely. But am I proud of the person that has become less important than the one that was here before? Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Do I think that's of my making? Probably not. Do I think there's a grace that's come to help me? Absolutely. But whatever little part I've played, and I don't think it's very big,
Mm-hmm.
and just being open to that, I take honor in, and I'm proud of that. What were the other words?
We'll go through them one at a time.
Okay, so pride,
Thank you. Thank you on that one.
yes.
And then the next one is grateful.
Oh, I'm so immensely grateful. I mean, I mean, I mean, I mean,
Makes you want to sing.
I mean, like, how can you look at the world that we live in and not be grateful? There is, and I'm grateful for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have the honor of having a 32-year-old developmentally delayed daughter. There were moments when I wasn't grateful for her.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think I could do it on my own. My wife passed away, and I told her when our daughter was born, I would never change a diaper. It's just I'm a man. I don't do that, right? My wife passed away when she was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's 32 years old now, and she still is not toilet trained. I've been changing diapers for 32 years. And I am so grateful for her because she's broken through walls that I put up of what I can and can't do. And plus, she's taught me a mode. She's taught me one of the most powerful tools that I use in my work with corporations and government. And it's speak, yell, tantrum, attack. My daughter can't communicate with me the way like she can never have this conversation. Not today, at least. Who knows what miracle tomorrow will bring. And when she speaks, people don't understand her.
Mm-hmm.
But she and I are so tight. She knows that I'm going to understand her. But there's so many times when she speaks that I don't have any idea what she's saying. And so if I don't have an idea of what she's saying and she speaks to me, she'll say it louder. And she's probably smart enough to realize I'm getting older and maybe my hearing is going. And so she'll say it louder and louder and louder and louder till she's screaming it. But it's not because I can't hear her. It's because she lacks the clarity in her pronunciation. And so I have no freaking idea what she's saying. And when she screams and I don't get her, she'll throw a tantrum. And I wish it was like she talks, speaks, yells, tantrums, and it all happened within 3 minutes. It can happen 2 weeks later.
Oh.
We could be in a store. We could be driving in the car. I could be taking her to a business meeting with me because I just like to include her in the life that I live. We could be in an amusement park. We could
Mm-hmm.
be walking on the beach. We could be having dinner in a restaurant. And she'll just go back crazy. And when I don't get it, when she tantrums, she'll try to attack me. She'll either bite herself or try and bite, come running to me to bite me or rip my shirt or do something. Tom, this went on for about 15 years. Sometimes as many as 5-10 times a day.
Wow.
I was pushed to the brink of existence. Until one time when she was running towards me in a rage to attack me. I looked at her and she gave me her eyes. And I caught her eyes in that moment. I said, Elisa, stop. This isn't what we want. You know I love you more than anything in this whole world. I would give every cent I have to understand those 5 words you're trying to tell me. I just can't understand your words. Will you find a way to talk to me in a way that doesn't use words? She stopped dead in her tracks. The rage that was on her face turned into a smile that melted my soul. And in perfect English, for the first time, she said, I am Daddy. I said, I'm sorry, what the expletive deleted are you talking about? How in the heck are you doing that? And she took her finger and she pointed to the side of her head. And I said, you little son of a gun, have you been putting thoughts into my head? And she started laughing and laughing. And she said, yes, Daddy, yes. And all the weight of her being able to communicate telepathically to me and me finally getting it sort of made her, this weight dropped off of her. And she started laughing uncontrollably, contagiously. And she caught me in. And then I started laughing uncontrollably and contagiously. And we went on for 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a long time to laugh.
That's a hurt.
That's a long time. And we were just crying and laughing and just, tears were coming because we were laughing so hard. At the end of 20 minutes, she never yelled, tantrumed, or attacked again.
Mm.
I can't say that I understand her every time she puts a thought into my head.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand her a lot more than I did before. And if that were the end of the story, I would say, thank you, God, and walk away a happy man. But I got greedy. I wondered if everybody was like my daughter in just a different degree. I wondered if the corporations that I was working with, the government agencies that I was involved with, the healthcare people, the education system, business in general, I wondered if it didn't all operate the same way. When people spoke and they didn't get listened to, they yelled. When they yelled and they didn't get listened to, they created havoc and chaos. They tried to make things not work when they easily could work. When that didn't work, they tried to destroy. They either tried to destroy a reputation, take down a company, stand in the middle of a square and shoot people, blow up a building. And I looked and I said, doggone it. Isn't this remarkable? That a woman that I've never been able to have a conversation with in 32 years has shown me the model to resolve conflict in people. Because when we can listen to each other, even the voice within ourselves, when we listen to ourselves, it doesn't need to yell, it doesn't need to tantrum, it doesn't need to attack. And when we can do that, what would this world look like if we just sat and listened to each other? So something that I never thought I could ever be grateful for, having a daughter that's developmentally delayed, has become the most grateful thing that I have in my life. Because it's given my life purpose. Now I work with people to help them listen so that nobody needs to yell, tantrum, and attack.
Sounds like peace.
Yes, long answers to short questions, but that's okay.
Awesome. Now the next one is, what do you desire?
Wow.
I mean, if we're going through them like What are you proud of? What are you grateful
Yeah,
for?
yeah,
What do you desire?
yeah. Um,
Do you need a minute? Are you okay?
oh no, I'm fine. I'm just trying to. I don't think about myself much, so I don't think in terms of what do I desire. So
Okay. No
I'm
problem.
I'm just thinking, what do I really desire? Personally, I would like to know what it's like to have more than a few moments of the connectedness that I felt in a few moments. I had a situation that happened a couple times in my life where everything that I thought I knew
Hmm.
disappeared. And suddenly I was not sure whose body I was in, not sure what time it was, not sure whether I was a male or a female, not sure what breath was mine and what breath was somebody else's that I was breathing. There was a moment of connectedness that was so unbelievably beautiful, where nothing was separate. And it was gorgeous until it scared the daylights out of me. And I got scared and I came back
Mm.
because I didn't know like what will happen. My wife was away and I thought, what will happen? Will she just come back and I'll be on the floor like just, sprawled out mess or crazy man, not knowing who, like how do you function when you don't function in this body, but you function in everybody? And it scared me and I came back. But I would desire not to be scared of that because it's everything I've always prayed for.
Mm.
It's everything I've ever wanted. But then when I got it, I got too scared of it. Do I desire also world peace? Yeah, of course. But I think if we're connected, that would happen easily. I used to say the lie has become so easy to believe, we call it the truth.
Mhm.
And the truth has become so hard to believe, we call it a lie. And the lie is that we're separate. We look at these physical forms and we think, good looking guy over there where you are, good, old guy over here where I am. How in the world could we be connected? There's no way in the world we're connected. But when we look at the world through a perspective of energy, what you're exhaling, I'm inhaling right this moment. And there's nothing that separates us. I'd like to know that reality rather than just speak of it from a few short moments of knowing it. I desire that. And not to be scared of it, but to just 1000% embrace it.
Yeah.
I guess I desire that.
Thanks for looking.
Yeah.
I appreciate your generosity.
Oh gosh.
And the next one, just so you're ready for it. What do you love about yourself?
Wow. I love who I've become. I love the process of I love the process of the process. I mean, everybody hears the story of Michelangelo getting that beautiful piece of marble and chipping away everything that doesn't look like a horse. But as you
That's
just,
funny. I thought it was David.
yeah, no, I think it's Michelangelo, but maybe it's David. It could be. Um,
I meant the horse. I thought he did.
Oh, you mean you think that he chipped away everything that wasn't David? He might have. He might have done that too. It might have been the way he worked.
That's cool.
Um, and I think how beautiful that is that a sculptor could see whatever it was that he was looking at and see that even in a block of marble that was super expensive and that he couldn't afford to mess up.
Mm.
But I don't know that I love it so much when Michelangelo is my creator and my creator is doing that same thing to the block that is called Danny. And yet I want him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I like the process, except I love the process. I just don't readily admit to myself that I'll endure the pain of those blocks being chipped apart so that I can actually be who my creator is making me to be. So what? I have a little pain in my body. Who cares? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, thank you for letting me see that story in a totally different light.
Yeah. And thank you for your generosity. We're actually at the end of 7 questions.
Wow. We made it.
What a journey.
How many hours did I take? No.
Oh, it's all good.
Yes.
And Danny, what would you like to be acknowledged for?
Um, I would like to be acknowledged again, sort of not my language, but I appreciate your language. I would like to be acknowledged for taking the moment to just accept your invitation and to for the beautiful moments that have come as a result of just not letting that email pass or that note pass and just taking the time to sit with it and just say, beautiful. I love one of the things I love about myself now is that when a door opens, I walk through it. I didn't usually do that. I used to think, oh, I'm too busy, or I have to do this, or I don't have time, or I don't want to, or, why? I love now that I just saw it, felt it, accepted it, and had this moment to spend with you. I guess more than a moment. I
Yeah.
love moments. But thank you for the beautiful softness of your heart and gentleness of your being, and for your beautiful desire to acknowledge me and my acknowledgement of you. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I receive it.
I do too.
And I acknowledge you. I didn't even start acknowledging you. I know you felt it.
Yeah. You started acknowledging me from the first moment we sat down together.
Okay. Well, I acknowledge you for listening to that nudge that said, answer this one, or maybe you answer them all. And I acknowledge you for taking on this conversation. And it was like, what's it about? And you brought your curiosity
Yes.
and really just acknowledge you for your gift of generosity, sharing yourself, your past, your stories, your way of being with me and the world, and just really being here in the moment with me. And what a gift to me. So I'm grateful.
the beautiful thing about a beautiful conversation is both people walk away saying, what a gift to me. And so I acknowledge you for holding that space, for the gentleness of your being, for your desire even to acknowledge me, for acknowledging anything. I mean, it's just, you're a rare breed of human being. And I hope the world will watch you and follow you and learn from you and do what you do. If more people did what you did, we would be living in a better world. So I appreciate you, brother.
Received. And thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna stop it now, and then we'll get into
Stop
the
it.
bonus stone.
Stop it now. Stop it.
Stop the recording. Put on the brakes.